Hello and welcome to PGP. Today we're going to go over the Halo Wars storyline to get you prepared for the release of Halo Wars 2 later on in the year. So, Halo Wars is set in 2531, 5 long years after the start of the counterattack for Harvest, 20 years before the events of Halo Combat Evolved. Now before we get into the actual storyline of Halo Wars, let's go 5 years into the past, at the beginning of the attack of the planet Harvest and also the first contact scenario with the Covenant. On February the 3rd, 2525, the humans made first contact with the Covenant near the planet Harvest when a Covenant ship by the name of the Minor Transgression raided a UNSC ship in human-occupied space. The Covenant ship completed a full scan of the planet Harvest before self-destructing, trying to kill the human occupants that had tried to hijack the ship to capture the Covenant crew on board. Following the destruction of the Covenant ship, a second much larger Covenant battle cruiser entered the system led by Tartarus' uncle, the then Brute Chieftain. The Chieftain was ordered to glass the planet immediately, but instead decided to approach the planet without conflict in order to search for religious Forerunner relics. The humans and Covenant met on the planet's surface, but the meeting went sour, resulting in the death of many humans and Covenant and the injury of the Brute Chieftain. The Brute Chieftain escaped but was met with hostility by Tartarus, who used the failure to follow orders and glass the planet and tried to peacefully talk to the humans as a weakness. Tartarus killed his uncle and assumed control as Brute Chieftain. Tartarus then returned to Harvest to finish the task given to him, glassing a proportion of the planet and killing the majority of the occupants, and then started searching for Forerunner relics on the planet itself. 6 weeks later, on April 20th, 2525, a ship was sent to investigate the lack of communication from the planet Harvest and was met by the Covenant's first contact broadcast.
The culmination of our journey, for your destruction, is the will of the gods, and I am their instrument.
Cocky bastard just loves to run his mouth.
The small battle fleet was destroyed in 14 seconds by a single Covenant cruiser contesting the planet, and the Covenant then had unchallenged control of the planet Harvest for almost a year, until March 1st, 2526, when Admiral Cole organised the largest known battle fleet to take back Harvest from the lone Covenant ship. Although losing over a quarter of his fleet immediately, this counterattack for Harvest lasted 5 years before the UNSC finally regained control of the planet. This is where Halo Wars begins, 5 long years after the beginning of the counterattack for the planet Harvest. It begins on board the Spirit of Fire, where Commander Cutter discovers that the Covenant have found something hidden beneath the ice on the planet itself, and sends Sergeant Forge and Professor Anders to investigate. Once the Prophets obtain the information they need from the relic, they ask the Arbiter to destroy it to prevent it from getting into humans' hands, but Sergeant Forge attacks the relic's location and prevents the structure from being destroyed. Professor Anders gets a brief look at a star map hidden inside the structure and tracks the coordinates to a second star system with a human colony on the planet Arcadia. On February 9th, 2531, the Spirit of Fire gains permission to leave Harvest to investigate Arcadia. They arrive to see that the Covenant are already there and have invaded the planet. The Spirit of Fire receives an audio message and a video file from the surface revealing that Spartan Red Team are already on the ground and that the Covenant have a large deployable energy shield protecting something unknown within. Rather than bombarding the shield from space and destroying whatever's beneath, they deploy to the surface to bring the shield down from the ground. Meanwhile, the Prophet of Regret reveals to the Arbiter that their current location holds a large Forerunner battle fleet that has laid dormant for millennia. The Arbiter questions why he is searching ruins instead of completing his task of destroying the human race, but the Prophet requires a way to activate the Forerunner warships. He realises that Professor Anders was able to activate the star map in the relic on Harvest and tasks the Arbiter to capture her. The Arbiter ambushes Anders and Forge, but after a short battle, Anders gives herself up in exchange for Forge's life. The Arbiter and Anders exit in a dropship just before Spartan Red Team arrive in a Warhog. Forge and the Spartans return to the Spirit of Fire to follow Anders. Her transponder shows that she's leaving the system in slipspace, and the Spirit of Fire follows to an unknown flood-infested planet. The Arbiter brings Anders to the Prophet of Regret before being informed of the arrival of the Spirit of Fire. The Arbiter orders the Prophet to be removed to High Charity for safety until the human ship is destroyed. Meanwhile, the Spirit of Fire is dragged into a gravity well from a parting ocean on the planet's surface. The opening is revealed to be a door into the planet's interior, which is in fact a huge Forerunner shield world, hollow on the inside with an artificial sun and atmosphere. They enter the centre of the planet to be met by a Covenant ship and begin to engage. Anders, still being held captive beside the Forerunner relic, is forced to activate the Forerunner structure by the Arbiter, awakening the Forerunner ships. Whilst the Covenant are distracted by the activation of the ships, Anders escapes via a teleport and is saved from the flood by Sergeant Forge. Once they've returned to the Spirit of Fire, Anders explains her plan to make the planet's artificial sun go supernova using the faster-than-light drive used for slip space to destroy the planet itself and the Forerunner weapons within. Forge transports the faster-than-light drive to its destination to find the Arbiter and his elites there to stop him. Forge engages the Arbiter while Red Team fight off the remainder of the elite attack force. After a slightly longer battle than the last time, Forge kills the Arbiter by stabbing him in the neck with a knife before taking his plasma sword and stabbing him in the abdomen. After the battle, Forge orders the Spartans to return to the ship, stating that they'll be important in the days to come. He then enters a lift and takes the faster-than-light drive down to its destination to manually activate it. The faster-than-light drive detonates, causing the sun to go supernova and dragging the Spirit of Fire into its expanding gravitational pull. Cutter plots a course to slingshot around the sun to gain enough momentum to escape the interior of the planet just before the planet explodes, destroying everything within it. For the next 2 weeks, Cutter and Anders search for Covenant activity but find nothing. Anders goes into cryosleep while Cutter mourns Sergeant Forge's death. After the credits, Cutter is awoken by AI Serena stating that something has happened before the Halo Wars logo appears. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this video interesting. Please check back to the channel in the near future for videos explaining all of the Halo storyline and its characters in detail. Bye bye.